Let me start by asking everyone a question. How much did your phone cost? Data shows that for every 3 phones sold, one is priced between 1,000 and 2,000 yuan. While flagship phones push the boundaries of technology, budget phones are defining the baseline of user experience. It might be the order-taking tool for a food delivery worker, the window for grandparents to video chat with their grandchildren, or the first smartphone a graduate buys after scrimping and saving. These phones are a real part of daily life for millions of people. But the question is, in an era where flagship phones are packed with high-end features, have these budget phones completely fallen behind? Or have they quietly evolved into value-for-money assassins? We've gathered 6 budget phones with different styles to test everything from their screens to gaming, from battery life to speakers. The results might not be what you expect. Let's start with the first impression you get when you pick them up, their appearance and how they feel in your hand. Unlike many mid-range phones that place the camera module in the corner so it doesn't affect the grip as much, the situation with these budget phones is quite different. Out of the 6 phones, 5 use a large circular camera design. The actual imaging capability and the size of the module are definitely not proportional, but the look is impressive. To avoid making the inside of the large circular module look empty, most budget phones choose to make the flash look like a camera lens. However, personally, I think this actually affects the overall consistency. In comparison, I prefer the Vivo Y500 Pro, which moves the flash to the side and uses a strip-shaped design. When it comes to the phone's CMF, color, material, finish, I'm not as picky. The IQZ Turbo, Redmi Note 15 Pro, and OnePlus Ace 5 all have solid color back panels with low saturation, which look very appealing and timeless. It should be noted that we only have the ceramic version of the OnePlus Ace 5, but aside from the difference in material, it's otherwise identical to the glass version. Compared to the Vivo Y500 Pro and Oppo A6 Pro, it adds some pattern textures to the simple design to enhance the sense of depth. Both of these models also come in a subtle gold color, which might be more appealing to young women. The Realme Neo 7 Turbo, on the other hand, features a semi-transparent design that's full of personality. In short, none of these 6 phones cut corners when it comes to appearance. They all live up to their price point. So, which one do you like best? Sometimes our sense of touch can be even more direct and nuanced than our sense of sight, and this is especially noticeable when it comes to the feel of budget smartphones. This is primarily determined by the materials used, as shown in the image. The back panels are actually not bad. Although the Oppo A6 Pro, IQOZ Turbo, Realme Neo, and 7 Turbo all use plastic, the coating process is quite good, so they don't feel obviously cheap. Among them, the finish is even better. If you don't often touch different phones, you might not easily tell that it's not glass. However, the sense of disconnect caused by plastic frames is quite obvious. Here, only the OnePlus Ace 5 uses a metal frame, and as soon as you hold it, you can clearly feel the difference in texture. This density and coolness are qualities that plastic frames simply can't match. The feel in the hand also includes the sense of heft and grip. The sense of heft is closely related to weight and size, as shown in the diagram. The Oppo A6 Pro, weighing 191 grams and being the smallest in size, feels the most comfortable to hold here. Besides the design of the device's R-angle, the main factor affecting grip is the transition between the back panel and the frame. Simply put, the more curved the design, the better it fits the palm. The edges of the middle frames of these phones all have a certain curvature, with little difference between them, but the curvature of the back panels varies from model to model. The almost flat designs of the OnePlus A45, Oppo A6 Pro, and Vivo Y500 Pro feel a bit lacking in the hand, but this flat style is also a favorite for many people. The Turbo and Realme Neo 7 Turbo, on the other hand, have a certain curvature, which makes them noticeably more comfortable to hold in the palm. The Redmi Note 15 Pro features a subtly curved design on both the front and back, making it the smoothest to hold. After talking so much about the back, it's time to turn to the front of the screen. Let's take a look at the initial impression of the screen size and aspect ratio, as shown in the figure. The wider 19.5 by 9, the traditional 19.7 by 9, the even longer 20 by 9. Which one do you prefer? You can share your thoughts in the chat. For budget phones, achieving visually uniform bezels on all 4 sides is still a long way off. They either have a slightly wider bottom bezel, or the curvature of the screen and the middle frame don't match, making the design look less harmonious. The Redmi Note 15 Pro looks relatively consistent here, but the black bezels are a bit too wide. In short, if you want a better visual experience, you'll have to pay more. In terms of screen width, the Redmi Note 15 Pro is the widest at 78mm. For my hands, typing one-handed is a bit of a struggle. Especially when tapping the punctuation marks at the very edge, the Vivo Y500 Pro at 74.5mm is the narrowest and allows you to comfortably reach the punctuation. The others are around 75.5mm, and this difference of about 1mm will make your hand stretch a bit. You can adjust and get used to it, but it definitely won't be as comfortable as a narrower phone. Next, let's take a look at the screen quality of the 6 phones. Their screen suppliers and base materials are shown in the figure. In terms of resolution, only the most affordable Oppo A6 Pro is 1080p, while the rest are all 1.5K. We can do a simple calculation using the diagonal length and screen ratio. The actual display area of the 6.57-inch Oppo A6 Pro is about 7% smaller than the 6.8-inch phones here, but the total number of pixels is about 28.52% less, so the drop in sharpness is immediately noticeable. In terms of refresh rate, the iQOO and Realme phones truly live up to the Turbo name by offering 144 Hz, while the rest are at 120 Hz. I have to praise Oppo, OnePlus, and Realme for allowing users to customize the refresh rate for individual apps in their settings. The other phones only let you turn the high refresh rate on or off for apps, without offering any level selection. Measured data, with manual maximum brightness, OnePlus Ace 5 reaches 817 nits, Oppo A6 Pro lowest at 577 nits, making outdoor viewing susceptible to ambient light. And although it, along with the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus and Realme Neo 7 Turbo, are all around 600 nits, the latter two phones offer an additional boost mode. When enabled, the Realme Neo 7 Turbo reaches 978 nits, and the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus also achieves 831 nits. Next, let's look at brightness uniformity. The OnePlus Ace 5 performs the best at 96.5%, while the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus is average at 92.34%. You can see that the brightness difference is most noticeable in the upper left and lower right corners of the screen. When it comes to peak brightness, the iQOO Z10 Turbo performs the best, reaching a level of 1913 nits, which is on par with flagship models. The Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus only reaches 1186 nits, which is relatively low, but the good news is that this performance can already be compared to its own flagship, the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max, or even the competitor's iPhone 17 Pro. This more conservative brightness strategy may be aimed at ensuring a high level of display consistency throughout the device's lifecycle, or at keeping the brightness at a reasonable level in sunlight scenarios. This in turn allows for longer usage time. As for the default color temperature, there are two models around 7,200 Kelvin, two around 7,400 Kelvin, and the remaining two have a cooler, whiter look at about 7,500 Kelvin. Overall, this aligns well with the viewing preferences of most people in our country. We've also arranged the 3 color temperature levels from low to high, from left to right, so you can see which one you prefer. In terms of uniformity, the OnePlus A45 performs the best at 98.42%. The Vivo Y500 Pro's uniformity at 95.43% is also decent, but for some sensitive users, there are certain scenarios, such as on pure white backgrounds, where some users might notice color patches. In terms of color gamut coverage, all these phones perform excellently. As for color accuracy, we use each model's best performance as a reference. First, in the sRGB color space, the average color difference for all models is kept below 3, which is considered a good level. Among them, the Realme Neo 7 Turbo performs the best, with a value of only 1.88. However, in the Display P3 color space, the color shift of the Realme Neo 7 Turbo becomes more noticeable, and the color accuracy of most other models also declines. The delta E is generally around 4, with only the OnePlus A45 achieving an excellent delta E of 1.72 in its default vivid mode. Combined with its delta E of 12.14 in sRGB mode, its color reproduction capability stands out the most here. Finally, let's talk about eye protection. First, in the blue light peak wavelength lab test, all 6 phones showed a shift toward red light. This basically moves them out of the commonly recognized range of harmful blue light. Next, in terms of dimming, all of them use a solution that combines DC-like dimming at high brightness with high-frequency PWM dimming at low brightness. Among them, the Realme Nu 7 Turbo has the highest dimming frequency at low brightness, reaching 4,608 Hz. The iQOO Z10 Turbo is also worth mentioning, as it offers 2 additional dimming modes in the developer options. A 4320 Hz high-frequency mode at low brightness and a DC-like mode at all brightness levels are included. While these modes might affect display quality versus the default, they offer user choice. Users can find their optimal balance between display quality and eye comfort. In terms of configuration, as shown in the figure, the 6 phones have significant differences in their specific specifications. We can conduct a simple step-by-step analysis by looking at the CPU, GPU, memory, and storage, combined with benchmark scores. First, looking at the CPU, the Realme Neo 7 Turbo's Dimensity 9004E and the OnePlus Ace 45's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 both use Cortex-X4 supercores, so they achieve higher single-core scores in Geekbench 6. The Dimensity 8200 in the iQOO Z Turbo also performs well, scoring 1,644 in single core. The remaining models only score just over 1,000, which clearly places them in the entry-level category. The situation is similar for multi-core scores. Thanks to its all-big-core architecture, the Dimensity 9004E achieves a multi-core score of 7,423. Such a significant lead is reasonable. Next, for the GPU, we use 3D Mark Steel Nomad Lite for testing. The rankings are also consistent with the CPU results. In terms of memory, the higher positioned and more expensive models are the Turbo, Realme Neo, and 7 Turbo, as well as the OnePlus Ace 5, all of which use LPDDR5X, while the other models use 4X. The former nearly doubles the theoretical transfer rate compared to the latter. Practically, this means when launching large games or often multitasking, the high bandwidth of LPDDR5X reduces lag. At the same time, it also offers higher energy efficiency. As for storage, they are equipped with UFS 2.2, 3.1, and 4.0/4.1 respectively. The difference between entry-level and flagship devices becomes especially apparent when installing large games or recording high-quality videos. The specific differences in their speeds are shown in the chart, so I won't elaborate further. Of course, benchmark scores are one thing, but real-world gaming tests are even more telling. First up is the light load game Honor of Kings. Due to differences in performance, each device unlocks different maximum graphics settings. But overall, the frame rates remain stable, a straight line, and none of the devices show significantly higher average power consumption or heat generation. Both metrics increase proportionally as the graphics quality is raised. Moving to Genshin Impact, running around the map and fighting monsters for half an hour, average frame rates for Oppo A6 Pro, Vivo Y500 Pro, and Redmi Note 15 Pro are all around 30. As for the Oppo A6 Pro, which has the weakest performance, lowest positioning, and cheapest price among these, its resolution is only 720p. Among the remaining 3 devices that can be directly compared, the Realme Neo 7 Turbo outperforms the OnePlus A45. It beats iQOO Z10 Turbo. Realme Neo 7 Turbo with 878p offers higher resolution, no stuttering, lowest power heat, making its performance best. For demanding Honkai Star Rail half-hour peak play, no need to test devices, only managing 30 frames in Genshin Impact. Turbo with lower-end Dimensity 8000, resolution up to 756p, averages 55 frames, which is good. Higher image quality means compromising frame rate. After all, the OnePlus S5 Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is a flagship mobile platform from 2 years ago, but regardless, it still unlocks a higher resolution of 981p, allowing players to choose whether to prioritize image quality or frame rate. As for the Realme Neo 7 Turbo, there's really nothing more to say. The Dimensity 9400 has only been out for half a year, with an updated architecture and stronger performance, so it naturally has the confidence to deliver both high image quality and high frame rates. Overall, whether in benchmark scores or actual gaming tests, the Realme Neo 7 Turbo is the best performer. The OnePlus Ace 5 is in the second tier. The iQOO Z Turbo follows closely behind, while the other phones lag further behind. In terms of imaging, although the rear camera setups of these 6 budget phones differ significantly, we can still categorize them into 3 main types based on practicality. The first type is like the Realme Neo 7 Turbo, which uses a dual camera setup with a main camera and an ultra-wide lens, handling both regular shots and wide landscapes. The second type includes models like the Redmi Note 15 Pro and the OnePlus Ace, which enhance functionality by adding a telephoto lens to the dual camera setup for shooting distant scenes and close-ups. Or they add a macro lens for capturing close-up details. The third type includes models like the Vivo Y500 Pro, iQOO Z10 Turbo, and Oppo A6 Pro, which forego the ultra-wide lens in favor of other lenses such as low pixel depth sensors or monochrome sensors. These usually only serve to assist the camera algorithms. Even though these are all budget phones, they still have to undergo our lab's rigorous testing to obtain quantifiable and analyzable data. First, we used the Siemens star chart to compare resolution. Except for the Zhenwo Neo G Turbo and Oppo A6 Pro, which showed a noticeable drop in resolution under different lighting conditions, all other models were able to consistently reach the theoretical resolution limits of their sensors and lenses. The performance is commendable. In terms of color saturation, we use the T142 standard chart for testing and analysis. Under strong lighting, most models reproduce color saturation quite accurately, with only the Vivo Y500 Pro showing a noticeable shift toward lower saturation. However, under more challenging low light conditions, all of them experienced a certain degree of color saturation loss. Among them, the OnePlus A45 had a saturation deviation value, delta C, of only -0.7, which is almost imperceptible to the human eye, making its performance the most stable. Next, we used the T1276 library page chart to measure detail reproduction capability. Whether under strong or low light, the Vivo Y500 Pro, Redmi Note 15 Pro, and iQOO Z10 Turbo all delivered more outstanding detail retention data, showing good consistency. It's worth noting that the Oppo A6 Pro performed very well under strong light with a value of 1,299, but under low light it dropped sharply to 470, showing poor consistency. Finally, we have the brightness, uniformity, shading, and noise VN measured by the T1255 and T1270 charts, as shown in the figure. In the era of computational photography, the impact of these two indicators, originating from hardware physical characteristics, namely multi-frame synthesis and AI optimization, on the final image has been greatly diminished, so we won't go into further detail here. Moving on to the sample photo section, first up is the ultra-wide angle, which is featured on the Snail 7 Turbo, OnePlus A45, and Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus. So having it is already a win. Regardless of image quality, at least it meets the need for wide-angle composition, and the Redmi, with its 15mm focal length, offers a wider and more dynamic field of view. Moving on to the main camera daytime samples, the Turbo and the True Stabilizer Turbo have slightly better resolution. White balance performance in this set, phones prefer cool or warm tones. For realism, the OnePlus A45 aligns with natural vision. In the next set, the OnePlus, Vivo, Oppo, and Realme all have overexposed photos. The iQOO and Redmi have more accurate exposure and are better at preserving the color of the red wall. We also compared the high-resolution modes, and as expected, there were no surprises. The 200-megapixel Vivo Y5Y Pro comes out on top. For night shots, we also tested the 3 phones with larger sensors, Vivo, OnePlus, and Redmi. The detail resolution, dynamic range, and purity are also higher. As for telephoto, although the Redmi Note 15 Pro is the only model here equipped with a telephoto lens, in actual tests, its 2.5 times performance is still not as good as the 2 times crop from the main camera on the Vivo. Rounding up, the Y500 Pro could almost be considered a telephoto phone as well. Thanks to its high pixel count and decent sensor size, the Y500 Pro also offers a 5x zoom option in the camera. In summary, these phones are sufficient for daytime use, but at night, even though the main cameras and those on higher-end models are similar or even identical in size, the final image quality is still limited by ISP processing power and algorithms. Therefore, it's wiser to use these budget phones for shooting in well-lit environments at night. Of course, at this price point, what more can you really ask for? As for battery life, in our 5-hour endurance test, the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus had the most remaining battery. Next, in the continuous loop test until the battery ran out and the phone shut down, the iQOO Z10 Turbo, with its large 7,620 mAh battery, really showed its advantage, lasting 8 hours and 54 minutes. The Oppo A6 Pro, despite having a lower resolution and a smaller screen size, still lasted 8 minutes less than the Vivo Y500 Pro, which has the same battery capacity and is also priced at 1.5K. The OnePlus S5, which has the smallest battery among these models, was still able to last just over 7 hours. It's also worth mentioning that throughout the entire test, its body temperature remained the lowest. As the model with the largest heat dissipation area among these, it definitely made a difference. Overall, any of these phones can easily handle a full day of moderate use. 6 phones offer 80W, 90W, and 100W charging specs. These are peak power ratings, so no need to focus on the highest wattage. Sustained charging performance truly matters. If we only look at the total charging time, the Redmi Note 15 Pro, OnePlus Ace, and Realme Neo 7 Turbo are the fastest. But if we consider the average amount charged per minute, the Turbo stands out as the best here, with an average of 138.55 mAh charged per minute. During the charging process, most models maintained a body temperature of around 41 degrees Celsius, while the Realme Neo 7 Turbo reached 42.3 degrees Celsius, which feels noticeably hotter. This is likely because its peak fast charging wattage is sustained at a higher power level in the initial phase. Next, let's look at the audio quality performance. In terms of speaker layout, the Redmi Note 15 Pro continues the family design advantage and is the only one here to use a symmetrical dual speaker design, while the Vivo Y500 Pro struggles a bit in this regard. It only comes with a single speaker, while the other phones use either small openings or micro-slit earpieces. The specific speaker specifications are shown in the figure. It's worth mentioning that among the buyers of budget phones, some are middle-aged or elderly people, or those who work outdoors. For them, clear and loud external sound is a must-have. The Redmi Note 15 Pro, Vivo Y500 Pro, and Oppo A6 Pro all offer a volume boost mode for this purpose. In actual tests, all 3 phones exceeded 72 decibels. Among them, the Redmi Note 15 Pro reached 77 decibels, standing at the very peak. If I remember correctly, every increase of 3 decibels means the sound energy doubles, so 77 decibels does sound noticeably louder than the other phones. But while loudness is important, how good it actually sounds matters too. Finally, let's talk about the other features. First, regarding multi-device connectivity, the Oppo A6 Pro has removed the function to connect with Mac, which is a bit inconvenient. As for fingerprint recognition, without exception, all of them use short focus under-display fingerprint sensors. After all, at this price point, it's understandable. As for the vibration motor, as shown in the picture, where there's a Wulong, there's always a Fengchu. Both the Vivo Web Pro and Oppo A6 Pro use rotor motors. The Oppo A6 Pro also lacks an infrared feature. so it can't serve as a universal remote control. In terms of water and dust resistance, the Oppo A6 Pro, Vivo Y500 Pro, and Realme Neo 7 Turbo all support up to IP69 at most. This better meets the needs of people working outdoors or near water. As for the buttons, the OnePlus Ace 5 still uses the classic 3-stage switch. Do you prefer the 3-stage switch or more function keys? You can share your thoughts in the comments. In terms of price, these budget phones are not all in the same price range. If we use the 12 plus 256GB version, which offers better value for money, as a reference, the price difference between the cheapest and the most expensive models can reach up to 600 yen. This is almost equivalent to 40% of the price of the lowest priced model. In addition, some phones focus more on durability, appearance, or photography, which makes it difficult to fully evaluate their overall experience based solely on performance benchmarks. But overall, you still get what you pay for with these devices. If you're planning to buy a phone, I also strongly recommend increasing your budget by 200 to 300 yuan. This will bring significant differences in user experience when it comes to core features like screen performance, while also giving you a longer product lifespan. I expressed a similar opinion a few years ago, and it still holds true today. Thinking back to the days of 1000-yuan phones, I believe many people were just like me, just entering the workforce, earning a modest salary, busy every day, and living on a tight budget. But even so, we never stopped exploring the world. For many people, 1000-yuan phones represent that time. It was like a window to the world at that time. Even though the craftsmanship was rough, the specs were average, and you often had to be patient while using it, it still brought us surprises and touching moments as we discovered the world. At the end of this video, I also want to ask everyone, do you still remember your first 1000-yuan phone? How long did it accompany you? Alright, that's all for this video. If you think it was well done, feel free to follow, like, save, and share. For more device data, you're also welcome to check out our mini program. See you in the next video.